All right, Nora, you want to do a roll call?
Kevin Scully.
Present.
Marcy Daniel.
Present.
Chip Postiglione.
Here.
Steve Thaw is out, and John Seeley is out, but we have Zach Murphy here this evening, Phil, as our new member.
Okay, stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just have everyone take a moment to see where the exits are, the emergency exits, fire exits here. Just please look around just in case we have an issue. Okay, first up we have 327 Mountain Avenue. Opening up a public hearing. That's you, Lee. Come on up.
So first you should entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Yes. Can I get I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing. Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How you doing today, David?
Good, everyone. How's everyone this evening?
Doing well. Doing well. Do a little better if there was a little AC blowing in here.
That I don't know how to work.
That's just me, though. That's just me.
No, I don't think so.
You know, it gets a little heavy in here, it ruins my hair. David, why don't you...
I'm abstaining from these jokes.
Yeah.
I want to participate.
Yeah, you can't though. Yeah. So this is just the start of this public hearing. So could you just, for the board that hasn't, for Zach, new board member sitting here, can you just give us a brief overview of what you're looking to have done in this property?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chip. 327 Mountain Avenue, the owner wants to add an addition in the back of the house. That in itself does not conflict with the code or the zoning code, yet the existing house sits too close to the street, to the front yard. So whenever you do a new project on a property that has a pre-existing non-conforming condition, you need to go before the zoning. As a result, we're here before the zoning board to request a 15-foot variance of the front yard, since the zoning code requires a 40-foot setback and the existing house is 25 feet from the front yard property line. As a result, there leaves a 15-foot difference, and that's the variance that we're requesting. Again, it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition. The project itself, which includes the addition in the back, is not in violation of the zoning code or building code.
So you'll see, Zach, on that survey, when this first came in front of the board, the first thing that we noticed is the garage in the back. Yeah. And that wasn't part of the original plan as you approached us, if I remember correctly, right?
That wasn't a part of the original submission. The board questioned it.
Yeah.
We went back, the building department rendered a decision, I believe, please, I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the building department decision was that since no work is proposed on the garage, then no variance is needed or no application for the variance of the garage, even though it only sits, I think, a foot or two up the property line is needed. So we discontinued that part of the application.
Right.
Right, so that issue is not before the board.
Right.
The propriety of that, determination is not before the board. It's just this board's jurisdiction is over the request as stated, which is for the front yard.
if the rest of the board is pretty much up to date where we left off, and there's no curveballs thrown at us, it's all pretty much where I believe we ended the last time. Marcy, you
Correct.
agreement with that? I guess we'd open this up for a public comment. Is there anyone sitting out there that has any comments or objections or any kind of statements they'd like to make? Now's the time. So I guess if the board doesn't have any more questions, and I think we've beaten this to death in the last couple of times he's come here to get to the public hearing. Dave, can we go to the 5 factors?
Yeah, I think unless the board has any further questions of the applicant relevant to any of the 5 factors, you can vote to close the public hearing, and then you can address the 5 factors and vote on the application.
Yeah.
I'm pretty clear cut.
Yeah, I am too. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good, this public hearing is closed, and let's go move forward and discuss the 5 factors that are going to help us render a decision.
Right, so, as you all know, there's a balancing test, and it's weighing the benefit to the applicant against any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. That would be that the variance grant would create, if any. The first it's guided by 5 factors. The first one is whether an undesirable change or negative impact on nearby property would be created by the grant of the variances.
I don't see that as the case here.
I agree.
Next is whether the benefit sought could be achieved through some other feasible means.
You cannot.
Cannot, no.
Next is whether the variance sought is substantial.
He does not.
No, I don't believe so.
Next is whether there would be an adverse effect or impact on the environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
I don't believe so, no.
And last is whether the difficulty was self-created.
No.
No?
The rare no.
Yes. Yeah, it's very rare. Very rare. Oh, we have the triple Lindy here.
So it sounds like your consideration of the factors is leaning towards a grant. If somebody could make a motion to grant the variance, if there's any conditions you want to impose beyond, the usual and customary that, to comply with the existing plans and those sorts of things, you can entertain a motion to approve.
Unless the board thinks, sir, this is one of the more cut and dry applicants in front of us, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, and then you want to entertain a motion to authorize me to draft a resolution and for the chairman to sign it?
I'll make a motion for draft resolution for chairperson to sign.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much for saying that.
Okay, next up for public hearing will be 10 Stonewall Road, Monroe, New York. David, it's you.
Yes. So,
Before you start,
I'd like to,
let's open up the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to open up this public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Dave, just like before, if you give us a rundown with our new member here, a synopsis of what has gotten you here to this point.
sure. So, this is a project that actually was approved by the zoning board several years ago, I think 2018, if I remember correctly. And the project proposed a second floor above the existing house. So again, because of the pre-existing non-conforming conditions of the lot and the house, we were referred to the zoning board at that time. On one of the pages of the final resolution of the zoning board at that time, it lists the variances that were requested. The lot area of 10,000 square feet. The existing lot is 6,900 square feet. The lot width needed by zoning is 75 feet. The existing lot width is 45 feet. The front yard requirement per the zoning code is 25 feet. The existing house is 19.9 feet. And the side yard as required by the zoning code is 15 and 30. The existing footprint of the house is 6 foot and 10.2 feet. While the zoning board was gracious at that time to grant the variances, since then, as we know, COVID had impacted the world and impacted this client, Luis Barbosa. He was not able to go ahead with the project at that time. Yet now that things are at least hopefully all going towards some better conditions, and the banks are releasing monies in more readily fashion, the owner would like to go ahead with the addition with no change from the previous approval, not only in the zoning board application, but also in the architectural plans. Everything would remain as was previously approved. So we request the board, which is, as I mentioned earlier, I think is somewhat a little scary. I think it was Kevin and David were the only ones at that time that were part of the zoning board. Kevin, sorry.
What are you trying to say, Dave?
Saying life goes on.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Better and better. You know.
Yeah.
And there are some that was
No time to reminisce.
I would have said it was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That, if you would just ask me without me thinking about it, it's one of the sense. So, I get it.
It's amazing. So we asked the board and beg on your courtesies to grant these variances again so that the owner can go ahead with construction.
The comments that I would have, getting to this point, so you just listed, and I think you said, I think you were incorrect on your, the minimum lot width, I think you quoted 75, but it's 125, and it's an existing 45 now. So all those variances that were granted, they're not changing now, right, from the last time that it was approved. Is that the same for the building height with the, where the proposed is 31.6 with the 2.5 story, the V1, was that also, because as I look through all the paperwork that was in this submittal here, I just want to double check if I missed something on that. You see where I'm talking, David?
Yeah, no, the vertical height complies with the zoning code.
Right.
35 stories, 35 feet, 2.5 stories.
Right.
I believe our architectural plans proposed 31.5 feet plus or minus 2.5 stories. So that would comply with the zoning code, and so that the V1 that you see denoted on the plans would not apply.
Right, that's the note of the vertical height to the setback ratio, correct?
Correct.
Do they, with COVID slowing them down, is the reason why the time ran out on them?
Well, yeah, so there was a time constraint associated with the zoning board approval. I believe it was 2 years, so that they needed to begin construction or start, make application for building permit to start construction. That did not happen. The major factor was COVID hitting our area. The second was he had a death in the family that was associated with COVID, and those two devastations obviously affected their plans beyond something that they had planned.
So are you saying they're ready, willing, and able to move forward now?
He lives outside my office, yes. they want to begin.
Anyone else on the board have any questions or comments?
I don't.
I just had one thing to clarify. I didn't pick this up until you just mentioned it. The zoning table that you've got on the plan doesn't really match up with what the building inspector has laid out as what the what the requirements are. For example, at the lot area, he's got it required as 10,000 square feet, but on the zoning table on the plans, it's got minimum 1 acre. And lot width, it's 125 versus 75. In the front yard, it's 25 versus 50, and the side yards are off as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, can you explain, did the zoning change in the interim, or is it since 2019? Or?
No, we had revised the plans. That's why I went ahead and read the variances off the zoning final resolution at that time. So we agree with the zoning resolution that was drafted at that time, and the plans been amended accordingly.
Okay, so it's just that there was an error on the plans in terms of what's required. All the correct information on what you're proposing is accurately stated on the plan. It's just that they've got the wrong zoning information on the face of the plan.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay. So for the board, whenever you have a situation like this where it's the identical request that's already been granted, the only issue really legally before you is, has there been a substantial change in circumstances, either in terms of the local neighborhood, something in regard to the property, the neighboring properties, or the zoning. If anything substantial has changed, then you can take a fresh look at this. If nothing substantial has changed, then you're sort of bound by your prior determination as a matter of essentially res judicata, right? It's your precedent. So that's the issue. Anybody feel, or anybody want to, either from their own knowledge, know whether there's been any change in the local conditions?
As I drove by it, it didn't seem, but if there's anyone from the public here on this, we'd have to entertain their comments.
Certainly,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Your hand, scratch your head right over here.
As, you know, obviously.
Now you've got to speak, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. As I drove by it the other day, but I wasn't on the board, or I didn't see what the neighborhood or the home looked like the first time go around. You're also the same way, Marcy, on that?
I didn't see it prior.
Yeah.
I'm very, very familiar with that neighborhood. Nothing has changed there in a very long time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If there's no other comments, if there's anyone in the public or like to make a comment or questions, now's the time to come up and be heard. If there's no other comments from the board, I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I guess we can go ahead and address those
Yeah.
5 factors.
I mean, we could probably just fast forward through that and say, look, it sounds like there's been no substantial change. What I would say is, you can entertain a motion to grant the variances on the ground that there's been no material change in circumstances from the time of the grant in November 2019. And the grant would be based upon all the same reasons set forth in that resolution.
Right.
So if somebody wants to make that, somebody wants to adopt what I just said as their motion, they can do that.
I'll
Very
make a motion to grant the variances based on previous variances granted in 2019, meaning that there is no substantial change to request or the surrounding areas.
And you should add on all the same terms and conditions.
On all the same terms and conditions.
I'll second.
And it's still the same period, right? Was it 2 years? Is it a 2-year period for it?
Yeah, I believe it is 2 years. Yes, it's 2 years.
Right.
Right, from the filing of the variance.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
right, Dave?
Dave, you said
There we go.
2018 before, it was 2019.
2019.
Bought myself a year there. And so COVID really hit then, that was November 2019.
One more.
Oh, you should also just entertain a motion to directly provide the resolution and to authorize the chairman to sign.
I'd like to make a motion for Dave to go ahead and, what Dave just said.
And I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have 3 Cromwell Hill Road, Monroe, New York, Wessel. Again, David, just for the new members of the board, if you'd like to
First, make a motion of
yes. We'll get that. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, thank you again, board, allowing me to present this project for this next time. We look forward to the public hearing that we're approving this project. The owner is asking for us to design an addition in the front yard that would be in the northeast, or actually the north portion of the building that faces Cromwell Road. The purpose of the addition is to create an entrance to that house so that he can walk directly from his house to a garage that's approximately 30, 40 feet away. The garage exists and it is a separate structure. It is a life safety issue because as he's getting on in years, it's becoming difficult to walk out of the house, which would be on the south portion of the building, walk around to along Cromwell Road, which has now become heavily trafficked area, and get to his garage, especially during inclement weather. So again, we have a condition where that house has a pre-existing non-conforming condition, and that's what's triggering our being here before the zoning board. So the zoning requires a 50-foot front yard setback. He does not have that. As a result, we're asking for a variance of 38.4 feet because of, again, the pre-existing non-conforming condition of the front yard. The addition that's being proposed is not in violation of anything, but again, the existing building has this condition that would need zoning board approval. And here's another factor where the house existed and Cromwell Road was probably built afterwards and could have been built too close to the house. So there would be no way for
Probably widened.
widening through the
Yeah.
areas and things of that nature. We did research. It is one lot in its entirety. It's not 2 lots. That's a condition of approval. We can have that dashed line removed and resubmit a survey just for record.
We were just discussing that dash line. It's the one thing that bothers me about this whole submittal. I don't even know why it's there. But it's gonna, you say it's going to be removed?
I can have it removed and yeah, we thought
Because it looks like it's 2 lots.
yeah.
It looks like it's,
It's not. Well, this is what I'm being told by the owner and by the surveyor, so documentation. If you approve the project tonight and make that a condition, we can have that as a condition satisfied within whatever time frame you feel is what deemed necessary.
as Dave just pointed out, it does say parcel 1 and parcel 2 on the map.
Yeah.
You have a clear picture, Zach, of what's,
So this is one parcel altogether, it just says parcel 1 and parcel 2?
yeah, and you see the dotted line,
Yeah.
that's almost cuts it
Yeah.
right there. That was a question that we brought up, right, Kevin? We brought that up at the last meeting. kind of stumped us. But I guess if it's gonna be removed, and if we do go forward, you know.
If we were to move forward, that could be a condition.
Yeah, we would definitely make it a condition. But we'll see how it goes. Marcy, you have any?
I just would recommend that it be a condition.
Yeah.
Sure. We agree.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like at some point, somebody was probably looking at dividing the parcel, and they had it up, the surveyor had it up on his screen and just left it there while dealing with this.
Right.
You know, and he may or may not apply for that in the future, but it's not before this board. So.
Right.
It's my understanding there's no intent to do so.
Okay.
All right, if there's no more comments from the board, if there's anyone from the public here that would like to make any comments or ask some questions, or now's the time.
Well, we don't think it's a bad idea, because we got a letter to come here. And we live like.
So what you should do if you're gonna, procedurally, if you're gonna talk, which is perfectly fine, what we should do is have you up at the podium and just identify yourself.
Yeah.
See, I told you not to.
That's
really good.
We're not joking.
That's it. Careful what you wish
Do
for.
I come up or?
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Well,
Wipe your feet first. No, I'm picking. Come on.
my neighbors and I, we got the letter.
First, just identify yourself. To the record.
Tom Soder, 55 Cromwell Road. I think it's like 3 doors down. Well, you're a busy guy. And it's true, it is a safety thing, because that door, their door is maybe this far off the road. And when Mrs. Wessels was alive, I'm surprised that, like, she didn't get clobbered and stuff. You know, because they would come out of the garage and walk, you know, right on Cromwell. Now, and you're right, it is becoming busy with all the new traffic. And, yeah, I think it is a safety, so I think it is a good idea. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you can go back there.
You know, on the driveway, it's not just on Cromwell Hill. It's right at the intersection.
Right.
It's right there.
Yeah. Anyone else out there?
You're good.
You good? Sure. All right. Yeah, no. That's the way we like it. Well, if there's no more comments from the public, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That was closed.
Okay, so now that it's closed, you can entertain the balancing test and the 5 factors. As you know, it's a balancing test weighing the benefit to the applicant against any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community, guided by 5 factors. The first is whether there is an adverse impact or a change, and a detriment or a change to the character of the neighborhood or community by the granting of the variance.
I say no.
Right? Next is whether there is any feasible alternative to achieve the same benefit.
No.
No.
Next is whether it is substantial.
No.
Next is whether there's an adverse impact on the environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
And last is whether the difficulty was self-created.
No.
No. Wow, this is this is the first. It's a unicorn.
Trifecta.
So you can entertain a motion to approve the variance on the condition that the applicant submit a revised survey removing the designation, that line in the middle separating and purporting to create a parcel 1 and a parcel 2.
Yeah, I like to make a motion to approve with the condition of removing parcel 1, parcel 2, and the dash line that makes it seem like it's a property line cutting through there, going forward. Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, then a motion to direct me to prepare a resolution and to authorize the chairman to sign.
I make a motion to create a resolution to have the chairperson sign with the condition of the revised survey.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 For the,
Excuse me?
for the extension.
Eagle View.
Eagle View.
Yeah, I'll bring that up in a second.
Oh,
The,
I forgot your Eagle View as well.
yeah, it was revised.
All things. Here we go.
Yeah, so, right, so right now, you would just call it because the public hearing is already open, it remains open, and it was on for tonight, and the applicant, I think, is seeking another extension, or an adjournment, a continuation of the public hearing for 60 days. And I can state that on the record, and then, you know.
All right, David, bringing up now, this is returning project, Eagle View Estates. And I have a note here, is you would like to request another 60-day extension, is that so?
That is so, please.
Okay, is this is the second extension you're looking for?
This would be the second extension.
Yes. Everything all right?
Realize the public hearing would remain open.
Excuse me?
And we do realize that the public hearing would remain open.
Yeah. Okay,
Now, when you get extensions like this, are letters sent out again?
yeah,
No, because it's, once the hearing is open, it's been publicly noticed for the date that it opens.
Okay.
And then, so long as the board is on the record, you know, continuing the public hearing or keeping it open, it remains open until it's closed. So the onus is on the public to look at the minutes or look at the agendas to see if it's on, or to watch it on TV and to reply themselves. So there's no further notice so long as the hearing remains open. Once it's closed, if you want to then reopen it, unless it's like a procedural thing where nobody's entered the room or left the room, including the applicant, if you want to reopen it on a subsequent date, then it has to be renoticed because it's been closed once.
Mr. Chairman,
yes?
this is the third.
It's the third one, huh?
Third.
Yeah, the first one was done April 26th.
Is there a limit on extensions?
That they would know, not me.
No, if the applicant's, it's up to the discretion of the board. You know, the applicant, you maybe want to ask the applicant what's, you know, what the reason is or what's happening.
I was going to say if
We're
there's
going 180 days.
Well, just for that reason, and you asked if letters go
That's-
out.
Yeah.
Because
I want the public to have a chance
it is
to
a tricky,
speak.
it is a tricky application, you know, there's a lot involved, and, you know, you delay, and then the people, you know, people are busy, right? So it's hard to see when and where this is, especially if you're getting that direct mailing, it's in your face, but if you have to go looking for it,
Yeah.
is there everything going okay there? Is there issues with this beyond the issues that you're in front of us with?
I would say that there's a lot of thought going into the project. There's extreme finances associated with all aspects of the project. I mean, we have a sewer design versus a septic design versus the distances associated with each, even though we do meet them. You know, I do know that the owner is weighing these things quite a bit to see what the market would bear, what he can bear, you know, on his own. I do believe that another 60 days would be very helpful, and if the board could see their way clear to do so, at least for this extension, it would be very agreeable to everybody.
Do you feel confident that it's going to be resolved and be able to be presented in the 60-day extension? Because those are a lot of things that you just described that are being decided upon.
You know, to the best of my knowledge, there's a diligence associated with trying to get the project moving and trying to get the project within the realm of constructability. Do I feel confident that in the next 60 days it would be resolved? I feel very good about it, from what I understand. So can't predict the future, but yet I think it would be I think it would help a lot.
The, Zach, just for your knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone here, this is a complex situation, right? This is, because they can't hook up to the sewer, they want to go and build their septic, but also the lots, right, where it's 1 acre, 43,560, and you have about 19,000 square feet for each lot. Is that what
And
we're
you talk of sharing a septic?
Well, there's quite a bit of talk. So, I mean, basically, to do a septic, you need an acre. To hook up to the sewer system, the zoning allows you to do so with half acre. The lots are half acre, but since we can't hook up to the sewer right at the moment, we propose a septic. And proposing a septic system, whether it's a shared system for both houses, that still needs a variance because your zoning code asks for an acre if you want a septic, where we only have a half acre per lot. While we did design the systems meeting the DEC requirements for the distances associated between septics and between wells, but still the variance requested is is something that would need to be considered, or else the project would be in a difficult way.
And why can't they connect to the sewer?
So moratorium.
Moratorium on it.
Is it yeah, it's a capacity issue. Is this the Moodna capacity issue?
Capacity issue. The town's portion of the Moodna Basin sewer system has exceeded its capacity.
And this was the one where you were looking for essentially like a temporary variance, right? Until such time as there would be
Temporary.
Permanent. These systems would be installed in a permanent, finalized fashion.
You would have.
However, correct.
You would have
to get a CFO.
Right.
Yet, once the sewer system became available, the septic systems could be abandoned in place and allow the lots to hook up to this sewer system.
right. Was there some
Some
talk of a potential change in the code as well? Was that am I thinking of the right application?
I couldn't eventually say. I'm not sure.
No, I think there was.
I might be thinking.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the only other question we had, wasn't there a right of way? Because this wasn't on my original agenda, I don't have all the. There was a funny a private road or right of way coming through the back that stumped us a bit, right?
Well, that's a sewer, that would be the sewer easement.
Yeah.
To get right away. Walton Terrace. So it's not a private road to access the lots. The lots are accessed off of Lakes Road, and the third lot's accessed off of Walton Terrace. The graphic that you're referring to is a sewer easement. So if we were hooking up to the sewer system, the sewer laterals from the houses would follow that easement up to the existing sewer manhole on Walton Terrace.
On the survey, it actually did look like a driveway.
It did,
But
right?
it wasn't.
Yeah.
We determined it was a sewer easement.
Right.
But there's no guarantee you'll ever connect to the sewer. You're hoping to, but that's,
There's no guarantee.
okay.
Which brings in the acre lot, and they're not even at,
Separate.
they're at 19,000 square, so they're not even at a half acre. So it's a big ask.
Yeah.
Right, and he was committing to if Moodna ever came up with the capacity, you were committing to connect it.
Yeah,
But just, it's indefinite because we're not in control of what is happening with
But
Moodna.
what does that mean?
How-
What does that mean you're committing to? So once if the project were to move forward and you were to go ahead and subdivide that and put in a septic, what's to make sure that you can come back and do that?
Yeah, the enforceability of it becomes, it becomes
Yeah.
an issue.
well,
The owner's not asking for anything.
No, I'm sure you're
Everybody,
probably gonna.
everybody in Eagle View Estates is asking for the variance. These would now be private owners.
Right, they're gonna sell out.
Right.
Right, and they're gonna wanna go through that expense?
Yeah.
So there's like, that's a weird, I commit to do that, well, I don't think I can be enforced.
Counselor?
So David, these are all the things that your client is debating?
Contemplating,
Yes.
and pondering and trying to collect all his facts together.
I mean, there's a lot going on here, and septic tanks can be problems, especially on built areas. As this is, it is near a water, public water source. I would feel uncomfortable without the public getting more notices on this.
Well, yeah.
That's, to me, that's a biggie.
This is, Noreen, you said this is the third, if we grant this, it would be the, well, this will be the third.
Yes, it was granted the first time in April. We extended from April to, excuse me, in June. Then we redid it again in June to today. So if you grant it tonight, now you're doing it until October, so it's gonna be 6 months from when they received their first mailing.
Would it be a problem, or is it against the rules to resend out public notices?
It's up to the, I provide the list to the applicant, it's up to the applicant to send them out.
So
And that's their expense, not ours.
procedurally, how does it go, though? I think
That I
that's,
don't have the answer to.
Dave, do you?
The question would be, would the applicant consent to renoticing it for 60 days from now? If the board can certainly ask the applicant to do that. And if the applicant is okay with doing that, then there's certainly no prohibition to that, to make sure that the public has notice.
The way you're wording it, do we need their permission?
Well, it's an expense to the applicant, right, to
Yes.
renotice. And because there's no legal requirement that it be renoticed, I think it would be, so I think it's more of an ask rather than a requirement. I'd have to do the research on it, to see if there's, can you do it? I've not really come across the issue before. So it may be that there's authority for you to do that. Again, that's an issue that I don't think has ever come up in my practice.
Dave, you think that would be a problem if you asked the client if they'd be willing to do that?
Well, if the board can make that condition, of course we have to comply. I've gone down the history of this project, with the planning board, with the zoning board. We have a factor here that was almost out of control of the owner. I mean, we literally was on the verge of final approval when in October of 2020, I think it was, the letter came out from Orange County prohibiting. I mean, we were literally on the verge of final resolution because we had gotten Orange County DPW approval of the access off of Lakes Road. We had 2 approvals from Luna Basin on the sewer, calcs, and the design. We had everything in place, and I bring that up because getting those approvals are not easy tasks. They took time, energy, design, efforts, which I know from your standpoint, every project.
I understand where you're going and what you're saying there. It sucks, right? There's no 2 ways around it. It's just bad timing, and it happened like that. But in front of us here, we're the zoning board, right? So that, like I told you before, is blah blah blah.
Well,
right? But I feel bad, but I don't think anyone here can take that under consideration in what the package that's in front of us for the variances that you're seeking.
Yeah, this is
Right? It's a shame, but it's really something that we're not going to focus on.
Well, I can understand the board's position. I mean, the project does have its nuances and idiosyncrasies that we can work through. Perhaps we can get a compromise. Could the public hearing be noticed in the paper as opposed to mailings being sent out? The town hasn't approved public notices being sent by certified certificate of mailings, which is, just as effective and such a lot less cost associated with it as opposed to certified mailings. I mean, just to give you an idea, the certified mailings are up around $175 to $250 just to send those out. And we get, unfortunately, we get a stack of them back that nobody opens. I mean, each time we get envelopes back.
Well, do you believe there's a strong likelihood of come 60 days from now, you'll be looking for another extension, or do you, a likelihood of 60 days from now in October, we'll be here talking?
I wish I could look into the future and
What I
see
would
if
say
that
is,
would-
yeah, what is another 6 days gonna do for your clients, but 120? It's kind of, their options are kind of limited.
Well, you know, the market's fluctuating, the interest rates are going up and down. And I could definitely, well, they're rising. I mean, they're going up and down. The interest rates are rising, there's no question about it. Material costs have skyrocketed. I personally know that. I would beg the board to give another 60-day extension, and I'm hoping everything will be resolved by then. And if not, and I'm back here, then I think it would be within reason that you would say, hey, you know, that's enough. We got to get this thing voted on.
All right, let's, I think we're beating this to death.
Yeah.
So let's, we're gonna make a motion to grant his 60-day extension. And you're right, I don't think we can force or anything, so I think we can just gonna make a motion to grant a 60-day extension for this project. Is there, anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So the public hearing will continue at the October meeting,
Right.
October 25th.
Correct.
10:25 meeting. Okay.
You know what, board members, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And thank you also for the other three reviewers.
No, thank you.
We'll see. Hopefully we'll see you do soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Sure.
Yes.
Take care.
All right, I think we're on to minute. Maureen, can we do minutes or because?
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, yes.
I stopped down to acknowledge adding Zach to the ZBA, and I just wanted to thank everyone once again for their dedication and participation in this. I know.
Need your name.
What's that?
Need your name in your.
Tony Cardone, Round Lake Park Road, Monroe, New York. But no, I do appreciate it. I know this gets arduous and it gets time consuming, so I appreciate it. And Zach, I really appreciate you stepping up.
Thank you.
And you know, we're happy to have you aboard.
Yes.
And maybe you could teach the attorney a thing or two.
Yeah.
But I thought you started at 7:30. That's why I came here at 7:20.
So did Marcy. So did Marcy. You're on the wrong.
Work in progress.
Yeah, but thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Tony.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
So with the minutes,
Well, April, we have Kevin, Marcy, here, we only need 3 to vote on them.
I've read them.
I'm caught up with them. I'm
They
good.
seem accurate to me.
I'm good with April.
April.
Okay, so then we just need a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the April minutes as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You have to abstain.
Abstain.
So that was,
And then we have May, we have Kevin, Marcy, and Chip, so we can do this one too, if you've all read them.
I read them up to date. It's all wrong.
Okay,
I make a motion to accept the June minutes.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay, then you got June and July last week, I don't know whether you've read them.
June I did.
I have not.
Okay,
I
then
know.
they will have to wait.
Okay.
All right, well, we got 2 out of 4.
All right, we're moving.
July.
We're moving along. June and July should work out last week.
Yeah, I read it too.
Easy, it's all motions. I'll have those minutes done tomorrow.
All right, Zach, thanks for stepping up.
Not a problem. Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Thank you,
It was nice being here.
Welcome addition.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 This could have been a record breaker, but someone thought it was 7:30. Tick tock, sister.